The 1960 Billy Wilder directed and produced movie The Apartment stars Jack Lemmon in the title role, along with Shirley MacLaine, Fred MacMurray, Ray Walston, Jack Crucian, David Lewis, Willard Waterman, David White, Hope Holliday, and Edie Adams. This movie was co-written by I.A. Diamond, who worked with Billy Wilder quite a bit. It's a story about Jack Lemmon's character named C.C. Baxter. He works for Consolidated Life Insurance in New York on the 19th floor of the accounting department. He frequently stays late at the office, not really due to his ambition, but because of a little arrangement he has with several of his co-workers. In exchange for a lot of various favors from his superiors, he lends out his conveniently located apartment as a place for 4 of his co-workers to have their adulterous affairs with their mistresses. His situation gets particularly sticky as the executives end up rousting him out of his residence at really inconvenient times late at night. He's not sleeping his way to the top, but he's creating opportunities for his bigwig colleagues to lift him up through the ranks by the use of his apartment. One of the most amazing scenes that you'll see in the film is the special effect they used to create this sea of faces that are laboring intensely at their desk in this huge insurance company office. The production designers devised a really interesting technique to achieve this look. They used full-size actors that sat at their desk in the front of the shot, and they used children dressed in suits in tiny desks towards the rear of the shot. All this was followed by even smaller desks with cutout figures that they operated by wires. All of this doings gave the effect of a much larger space than could have been achieved in the limited studio space that they had. The director originally thought of this idea after seeing the movie Brief Encounter from 1945. In that movie, he wondered the plight of the character that's unseen in that film, who is the person who lends his apartment out for an extramarital rendezvous. When Shirley MacLaine was originally given the script, she was only given 40 pages of it because Billy Wilder didn't want her to know how the story would turn out. But he told her that it was because the script just wasn't finished yet. Now, Billy Wilder is a complete master at filmmaking. He taught Jack Lemmon an enormous amount about that art. The director taught him how to use what's called hooks. These are bits of business that happen in a film that the audience remembers long after they've forgotten certain other aspects of the film. One such hook in this movie was the passing of the key that was to Baxter's apartment. Lemmon said that even years after the picture's release, people would come up to him and say, "Hey Jack, can I have the key?" The movie was criticized by a lot of the Soviet bloc critics as a real indictment of the American system, and it was a story that could only happen in a capitalist society and city like New York. While Billy Wilder was being honored at a dinner in East Berlin, he talked about the movie and made the statement that it could happen anywhere in Hong Kong, Tokyo, Rome, Paris, and London. But he went on to say that the one place that it couldn't happen was in Moscow. When he made this statement, the East Germans broke into a thunderous applause, and they started cheering. As the ovation died down, he continued with his thought and said the reason that this picture could not have taken place in Moscow is that in Moscow, nobody owns his own apartment. He was met with grim silence after this remark. Wilder and Diamond, who wrote the screenplay together, were notorious for not letting anybody deviate from the original script. Shirley MacLaine drove him absolutely crazy with her ad-libbing. She was forced to do one of the elevator scenes 5 times because she kept missing one word. The office Christmas party scene was actually filmed on December 23rd, 1959. He did this to catch everybody in the proper mood for the holidays. Almost this entire scene was done on the first take. He's often made the statement that he wished filming scenes were always this easy. Jack Lemmon was in his dressing room, just dinking around and playing with a nasal spray prop, and he discovered that if he gave it a sharp squeeze, it would shoot a liquid out about 10 feet. He filled the spray bottle up with milk to make the liquid visible on black and white film, and when Fred MacMurray chastises him for creating a problem around the use of his apartment, Lemmon gives the container a squeeze. The milk shot out of it and sailed right past MacMurray's nose. Billy Wilder left this in the take, but it wasn't in the script. He was so impressed with Jack Lemmon that he was one of the few guys that could do things a little different than the script and it still be left in. In the scene where Carl punches Baxter, Jack Lemmon was supposed to act like he had been punched, but he failed to move correctly as it was being filmed, and he was actually knocked down. So the shot that you see in the finished film is a genuine punch that happened to Jack. Now you're going to see a lot of people in the film that you've seen on the Andy Griffith Show. I'm a big Andy Griffith Show fan, and anybody that was ever in that show pops out immediately to me when I see them in other movies. The Apartment left me spotting quite a few of them. One of the characters that pops up in the movie is David Lewis. You'll remember him as Dr. Harrison Everett Breen from the episode called Sermon for the Day. He plays a big role in this film and is one of the patrons that uses Jack Lemmon's apartment on a frequent basis. Another face that will be familiar to you is Joyce Jameson. She has a bit part at the beginning of the film as a pretty soused-up lady. You'll remember her as one of the fun girls that causes Andy and Barney terrible headaches when they stroll through Mayberry. And then the one that really stands out is that of Hal Smith. He plays a drunken Santa Claus in this film, and Hal Smith played a drunk as well on the Andy Griffith Show. He played Otis. So when you watch the movie again, always look for these characters that you'll be familiar with. Jack Lemmon plays this character to the hilt. I mean, this guy is so talented, it's unbelievable. He saw Baxter as an ambitious, very nice guy that was completely gullible, easily intimidated, and fast to excuse his behavior. By the end of the film, he changes because he faces up to having rationalized his morals. He finally realizes that he's been a dumb kid and that he had been had by all these people. Now, another thing that really influenced this film partially was a true Hollywood scandal in which a high-powered agent, Jennings Lang, was shot by a producer for having an affair with his wife, who was actress Joan Bennett. During the entire affair, Lang used a low-level employee's apartment to have his rendezvous. Another element of the plot that he chose to base on a real-life experience is the time when his co-writer's friend had returned home from breaking up with his girlfriend to find that she had committed suicide in his bed. This is a theme that's carried out in the movie, but doesn't end up as the end result. It was a pretty tough sell to get Fred MacMurray into this character that had such low morals and was a completely different person than you would see in the Disney films that he did. He had just signed a long-term contract with Disney to do a family of films, and this character of Sheldrake was completely outside of the box for him, and he really was reluctant to do it because of this character's low morals. But he had worked with Billy Wilder on the 1944 film Double Indemnity, and he loved working with him. This was a pretty disreputable character as well. After thinking about it long and hard, he decided to go ahead and accept the role. Fred MacMurray's fan mail was overwhelmingly against his role as Chief Executive Sheldrake. People just hated seeing him play this character. The response shook him so much that he vowed that he would never make another film that had him in this kind of role. After the film was released, Fred MacMurray was really accosted by a group of women on the street who berated him for making such a dirty, filthy movie. One of them actually hit him with her purse. There were a lot of straight-laced people that didn't like this film, and especially Fred MacMurray as this character. The Apartment works on so many levels, moving from a corporate satire to a drama to a romantic comedy. All of this done while maintaining sensational acting, smart dialogue, and a grandly satisfactory outcome for the waves of building turmoil that occur in the film. The balance between comedy and drama is perhaps the film's finest achievement. If you've never seen this movie, take a look at it. You'll love it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.